Welcome back to Smart Mistakes. Here's an example from AP Physics 1, one of my favorite questions. It allows you to really test your understanding of rotational equilibrium and translational equilibrium. Starting with translational equilibrium, let's talk about forces that are applied to this beam. We have the weight of the beam itself, the weight, and I'm not showing the weight on the block, I'm showing the weight applied to the beam from the hanging weight. So I have this mg and another mg. In the OY direction, I got 2 mg's, and they should be counteracted by the tension Y plus force of the wall in the Y direction. Tension is this way, and then I will have the force from the wall somewhat like this. So it should be about the same in terms of X component, and it should have a Y component. So the Ty, which would be this Ty, and the wall Y together should be counteracting the two gravities, the two weights, the weight of the beam and the weight of the hanging mass. Now, horizontally, force of tension X should be equal to force of the wall X, and we're not particularly interested in the OX department. The question pertains to the smallest possible component of the Y force from the wall. The first suggestion is the way it is, this is the smallest possible component. To get a little better understanding of how these forces relate to each other, let's resort to translational equilibrium. Clockwise torque is the torque from the two weights the way they are right now. It would be mg times L for this hanging weight plus mg times L over 2 for the actual weight of the beam. The two of them create the clockwise torque. Counterclockwise torque, if I choose this as my axis of rotation, comes just from the force of tension, and I'm just going to use Ty times L counterclockwise because I'm applying the notion of if I take my force like this, I could get the lever arm. If this is my theta, then lever arm is going to be L. If this is 90 degrees, just pretend that it is. Then I would have force, this force, times L times sine of theta. Or I could do, if this is my L and this is my force, I can just do the force tension Y, and that would be just the L tension Y. So tension Y times L should be equal to 1.5 mgl. So L goes away. Ty is now 1.5 mg. Then the vertical from the wall is just half of mg. That is our base. So the options that they offer us, leaving it as is, so in that case our force wall vertical is going to be 0.5 of mg's. So look, let's move this weight to the center and keep the cable where it is. What is that going to change? This to just mgl. So then Tyl is going to be just mgl. So then Ty is just going to be mg. So then force from the wall is going to be a whole mg. That's actually bigger. Another one says, what if we move the cable to the center and keep the weight on the beam where it is? So we're then back to this, back to the clockwise torque being 1.5 mgl. Ty times only L over 2 equals 1.5 mgl, right? So L goes away, then Ty is now 3 mg's. Our force from the wall is going to have a downward direction, and it will be equal to Ty is going to be negative mg, right? It's going to be pointing down. All right, it's again not going to work because the magnitude is going to be a whole mg. We're not moving the string to the middle and keeping the weight where it is. One more. Let's try moving both to the center of mass. If we move both to the center of mass, then we have this at a half. So our clockwise torque is now just mgl. And counterclockwise is Ty L over 2. So then mgl equals Ty L over 2. Look at this magic. Ty equals 2 mg. Then what is the wall? Force from the wall is 0. That's an absolute minimum. So the answer to this one is we move both. We move the weight that is hanging from the beam to the center, decreasing its lever arm in decreasing the clockwise torque. And we're moving this, also decreasing the torque counterclockwise. And it works out so nicely because now our tension is equal to the 2 mg's and the force from the wall is just horizontal, nothing vertical. There you go.